Here we are back at it again. Oh, where shall we begin?
The title.
Yes, of course. The title of this audio treat is,
Nothing but worry.
and as usual, the title is most apt. Bonnie did a good job all those, however long ago it was that we started recording the show. And she came up with the name. All right, now, let's see how would we.
It's been a worrisome week.
Okay, right now it's Friday evening. When I got home from work Wednesday morning, now this incident's minor, but it presages what came later. Bonnie says that when I came, okay, I'll let her explain it. I come home from work Wednesday morning, and what happens?
I meet him at the door and we go through the routine. And the routine is all the things you say, hey, how was your night, etc., blah, blah, blah. And then we go through the routine again. And then we go through the routine again. So by the time he gets into the kitchen, 40 steps in, he's starting to fiddle around with his coffee cups, teacups, and is pulling at 4. Why are you doing 4? Because I take 4 a day. No, you're down to 2 a day. No, I'm not. It escalates from there. He's highly emotional, forgetful, argumentative. I send him on his way. I'm like, okay, something is really wrong.
Okay, this is not exactly how I remember it, but go on.
That's part of the problem. It had to do with your memory. So you go to take a shower. I go and grab last week's show. Find where you're talking about how you'd been off for 24 hours, that you were down to 2 cups, yada, 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 etc.
What I remember was I'm trying to tell a very convoluted story, and I can't, of what happened at work the night before, and I can't seem to get started. That's what I remember. Now, the teacup thing, I don't know. That just was some confusion. Now, here's the thing: here's what's significant for me. I went to sleep, as I usually do. I get home about 6:40 in the morning. Go to bed about 8 on average, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up covered in sweat, neck aching, just something wrong. Felt like I had a flu coming on. I don't think it was a flu. I don't know what the hell it is.
The thing is you have Addison's disease in addition to all the other shit. And so with Addison's, your body can't heal itself. And it isn't just, your immune system kicking in. We're talking about healing at different levels. You can't handle when a virus or bacteria attacks. Your body doesn't do all the responses it's supposed to, but it's more than that. The body also responds when you come under physical stress, such as extreme cold or fatigue, changing routines, changing addiction patterns, and all this other stuff. And so the first thing I tell you when you come up that evening and say, I feel like shit, I feel like I got a flu, my response is, go take an extra half Cortef, and then in the morning do the same, because Lance's body can't respond normally to taking care of itself. So you've done 3 half doses of it now?
I'm not sure.
At least?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Anyway, she had me call in sick that night.
Yeah.
And then wound up calling in sick the next night, too.
That's right. So a number of things are going on. You've recently changed your schedule at work, and it's not by much, and an hour and a half difference or something. You're also tapering down on your caffeine, and then there was a change in the weather. There was a drastic change, where there were a couple of nights it was the low 20s, and that is really bad when you have Addison's, because the body doesn't respond well to dealing with cold, and you have been complaining for the last week about feeling more cold than usual. I mean, we've had the heat up to 76. And I mean, I hate having it above 72, but I've done it because you've been constantly complaining about being cold. But in addition, that night, there had been major rainstorms coming in. And when rainstorms come in, it affects that area where you have a scar behind your eye. The scar runs from behind his ear all the way to the top of his head. And they took out this massive meningioma from there back in 2017. And now when the weather changes, it causes swelling and weirdness and strangeness. He can feel pressure on it or sensitivity, like soreness even. Sometimes the eye gets more droopy than usual, more of a sag in the face. All of those factors just said this is not a good time for you to be going in. So absolutely. I called the wife, held out the wife card and said, you are taking another night off. Thursday, I called and left a message for your neurologist. She called back today. The neurologist wants to see you first thing on Monday morning. They want to do a nerve test, EEGs, blood work, maybe an MRI, just depends. We got to rule some stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
You have undergone stressors in the last couple of weeks. You've changed addiction patterns and caffeine, because caffeine does affect both Addison's and seizure activity. And changing the sleep patterns means changing your medicine times, and throw in the weather, throw in this cold snap, and you're vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, anyway, who knows? I'm still off a little bit. This whole
How have you been
caffeine thing.
feeling emotionally?
I've been really emotional lately, I guess. Not just I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it to you to say what you want to say about that.
Well, I
But you're
don't.
not yourself.
Yeah,
And when you're not
I
yourself,
think that there's definitely some chemical imbalance going on in
yeah.
different areas.
Like I
I
told
feel weird right now, as a matter of fact.
is it RO type or just
Mm-mm,
not
just
sickness?
no. It's just you can feel it. You feel different. I don't know what to say.
I'm thinking about pushing you with some of those electrolyte drinks tonight. Doing one of those. I've had you on a higher sodium because they anticonvulsants all drain you of sodium. Your cortisol levels being fucked up. You're not able to self-regulate with regard to sugars, salts, etc. So yeah, we've got to get you leveled out, sweetie.
Well, we'll see what happens when I talk to
Well, like I
the
pointed out,
neurologist.
we have gone through, there's been 30 years of brain tumors and all this other stuff. And of course, that's always back in my mind, worried about, the next thing, if it's going to recur. And I was told the meningioma can recur. And there's just other little factors at play, like the last time when you wrecked the Prius, you had a seizure, and they went in and they discovered swelling on the brain, and they gave you steroids, and the steroids reduced the swelling. And so I don't know. I don't know if a 3-day regimen of 20 milligrams of steroids would help you, 5, 7 days, whatever. I don't know anything until we get you tested and find out how bad your brain's broken, babe.
Well, we'll see. I I do want to get off caffeine. Just I really
You've
don't
done
know
it
why.
before.
Yeah, I've been off caffeine a couple times in the past. One
Yeah.
time went for a couple years, and then just we were. I think Fresh Market had just opened up. We went in there and we discovered what the
That green
ocha
tea.
green tea,
Yep.
and I had like, look at this chai, and I had a bottle and immediately got rehooked on caffeine.
Yeah. A lot of that caffeine issue was the fact that it was keeping you from feeling your true fatigue levels and working nights as you do, that's a problem. Ideally, I would like to see you move from the night shift to a daytime shift so that you're in normal rhythm for the first time in 30 years almost. You went through a phase back in 1998, 99. You had 6 weeks of radiation daily, and there was a 6-month period where you were on day shifts at the post office.
7 months.
And it was interesting. I think you may be getting to the point where you need to just completely go into day shift.
Well, if this
Because-
woman will retire at work and they hold true to what they should do, I'll get her job. And so,
Yeah.
so
If we could have you on a normal nighttime sleep schedule, that would be fabulous.
yeah, I
You know,
I woke up to what?
I don't mind driving you to work here. I don't mind that at all.
No, it's not bad.
And it's 15 there, 15 back, well, 20 roughly with me driving. And, you know, I'll do it if I have to.
So I didn't get much done last night. I did get a little bit done. Just wasn't into it. And then today slept a long time. Woke up at 3 in the afternoon. And we went out to run some errands. We have some birthdays we have to deal with this week. So we went out and took care of that a little bit. And the place where I had my last, there's this place called Earth Fair. It's a sort of health food grocery store, upper end, thing. And they have a little dining area in there. And that's the last place I ever had a show of paintings. What, about a year ago maybe? I can't remember.
Yeah, about that time.
And, God, the paintings they had in there today were terrible.
It was like a middle school girl.
It was. They were awful.
Wow.
And the woman who did them, she had full color business cards printed up, and she had a biographical notice tacked up on the wall with the most,
Inane.
yeah, just pseudo profound crap. And anyway, I found something in that store today that I just now looked up. I had never heard of it before. You ever heard of lupini beans?
No, what is it?
They look a little bit like favas, maybe, or maybe a combination of favas and muscadines.
What? Muscadine?
Yeah,
The grapes?
Yeah, because you're not supposed to eat the skins. Apparently, you just make a little dent and you pop the bean into your mouth.
How bizarre.
Yeah, but it's one more thing that they're marketing. Ooh, it's superfood from the other side of the world. Make you feel better.
Yeah, we walked past a couple of the aisles there, and they were selling these individual gelatin pills with different things added in. And I just looked at Lance and I said, most of this is just woo.
Yeah. I got some nice things in there, though.
Was I with you or was I with Peter the other day? I'm out somewhere and somebody has a bumper sticker under their driver's side window that says, "Make America Healthy Again." And I just rolled my eyes. This whole Maha movement by Brainworm Bobby and the Trump administration, these anti-science freaks, anti-vax freaks, it's disgusting. I don't mind getting healthy, eating well, etc. I do mind when it's voodoo science, this woo-woo nonsense that's pushing it. And this whole unpasteurized milk, raw milk movement, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Going back to the days of, when measles and polio and all these other things just kill children. What are these idiots thinking? They're not. They're not thinking. They've fallen for this nonsense.
Oh God, I am so out of it. Now I just had a cup of coffee just now, with 2 scoops of instant coffee powder in the cup.
Okay.
And
Any response? Any results?
am I feeling anything? I'm not feeling shit yet.
Now, you had this before you meditated or after?
It was right before.
How did the meditation session go tonight?
I don't know. I don't know how to judge that. Not great. I don't know. I just want to. I don't know. I don't know what I want. Just
The
have
thing
to.
I like
Just
about-
want to be patient and relaxed and let things unfold in my life as they will, and let myself evolve as I will. But there's always this fear of changing or something. I don't know. What brought up David Bowie this morning or whatever it was?
But I wanted to say something about the meditation. We were talking about woo, and there's this aspect of meditation where these people go, oh, and they focus on this stuff. And the thing about us in meditation is it's just a moment to be completely quiet. It's a relaxation, a breathing exercise to calm yourself, to quiet your mind. And I think that meditation is also one of those things that can be misused,
Well,
mistaken, and it can be conflated with nonsense.
if you boil it down to the basics, meditation is just a chance to be by yourself for a few minutes and lower the amount of sensory input you're getting, and to just get things straight for the next couple of hours in your brain. I forget what I was going to say about that. Something else you brought up.
You brought up David Bowie.
No, before that, was outside of that. But anyway, so something. Oh, I knew what it was. Just I saw a lot of random videos pop up last night, and one of them was David Bowie and clips from interviews from him in 1997 and 1999, talking about what he thought the internet was going to be. And it's pretty apocalyptic, but that brought up David Bowie, so we were looking him up. He's only 69 when he died.
That was 10 years ago now.
Was it? Was that what it
I
was?
think that's what it was.
We discovered. And
Christ.
I remember a long time ago, this has been 2 or 3 years ago, we were on a David Bowie kick, and I watched a video of him, or I'm sorry, interview of him, and he said he decided when he was young that his life was going to be the greatest adventure, and that's what he did. And I think that's the right way to do it, the right way to approach it.
When we were talking about his death, I mentioned his estate sale of his art, and you told me something interesting about his attitude towards art.
Which one?
Waking up every morning.
He said, Bonnie said something about they auctioned off his art collection. So she said, you ought to see it. So I was trying to find information about it, and I found a quote by him that was something about he knew early on in his life that he wanted to collect art because if he What was the quote exactly? If you looked at it in the morning, it set his
He
mood.
wanted to be able to get up in the morning and look at it, and it would just kind of set a mood for him, or it create a mood, or it would.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of set the day in motion
I think
for
that's
him,
true.
and I think that's beautiful. That's one of the things I love about our house is we live in a museum and we live in a library. We have art everywhere. We have books everywhere. We have music everywhere. And I mean, in that regard, we are some of the richest people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that we are so lucky that we embrace that and we enjoy it. This week I had to accept delivery, signed delivery of something. And as I opened the door, I realized I had to open the door because otherwise they would have thought this person's not here because our house is so quiet during the day. You sleep, and so I keep the sounds at a bare minimum. And earlier this week, you were mentioning how you wanted to show something. You had a moment's pause when you wanted to show something to your mother, and you realized that she was no longer around for you to share it with her. And one of the things I thought about was every time we'd go into her house, there was just this blast of sound. And it wasn't just because she was older and couldn't hear well. She was always that way. Every time the kids, taking her over, we'd have to say, okay, we're here. Can you turn off the TV so we can talk? It was like the TV was constantly on. When they built their house in the early 2000s, they installed a radio system so they could listen to the radio in every room. When we went up to visit your parents a couple of times, your father had a workshop. And we thought each time we went up there he was in the workshop, but no. He had left the radio playing in his workshop, just playing.
Have you ever read the poem Surprised by Joy? I think it's Wordsworth, or is it Emerson? I can't remember.
I haven't read it in decades.
But you know what it's about, right?
No, not really.
He had a little girl die
Oh,
early on, and years later, something happened that in his brain, he knew immediately, this is exactly the kind of thing I could share with so-and-so because she would appreciate it.
Moment.
And then he realized, oh, no, wait, she's dead.
Oh.
And what a horrible...
That feeling, yeah.
But that's what, for the people left behind, that's what death is. All of a sudden, it's not just that they're dead, it's that they're not around anymore.
Yeah, when my grandmother was going through dementia at the end, senility, her oldest son, the middle child, died. And there was a question as to whether or not they would tell her. And her doctor said, point blank, he said, there's no point. Just say he's not here, he'll be here next time. Because each time you have to tell her her son has died, she relives the pain. She may forget that pain in 5 minutes, but you've caused her 5 minutes of unnecessary pain. For all of the loss of memory that she has consistently, don't do this to her. That was powerful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You ever heard that last? I think it was on the. No, it wasn't on the very last, but it was on one of the very last Queen albums that Freddie Mercury worked on. You ever heard any of those?
I'm sure living with you, I've heard them at some point.
Well, there's a song on one of the they knew he was dying, and he was determined to work on this thing as much as he could before he died. Yeah. There's a song, I think it's the song "The Show Must Go On," and the lyrics are so on the nose. He at one point he says, "Round the corner, I'll soon be turning, but the show must go on." He died on my birthday, like 92. No, it couldn't have been that early. Maybe it was. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Maybe it was 92. Oh my God, I don't understand why I'm so sleepy. You get used to this substance to wake up, and even I don't know.
You mean caffeine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then
My dad's attitude is, "Don't take my caffeine away. Let me always have my caffeine."
really,
Um,
yeah,
a lot of people are that way. Your mom was that same way too. She always had to have her caffeine. She offered me coffee for 20 years until she finally understood. No, thank you, Jane. I don't drink coffee. And the funny thing was, when I was caring for her when she had dementia, something had clicked. And she goes, "You don't drink coffee, do you?" I said, "No."
You ever heard the song? There's a Sting song called "Englishman in New York."
I can't recall it. Sounds
He
familiar.
says, "I don't drink coffee. I take tea, my dear. I'm an Englishman in New York."
Oh. Yeah, you were talking about our first date
Yeah.
today. And I said, "Do you want to go for a beer?" And you said, "I don't drink." And then you said, "How about a coffee?" I said, "I don't drink coffee, but I'll take a hot chocolate." And back then I could. Um, but yeah, tea, absolutely.
Well, you caught. I was working two different places because I was so
Yep.
down and out, and I was
Cashier?
running a
A,
convenience store.
assistant
Bonnie was working
manager?
next door. No, no, I was an assistant manager there. I was
You weren't there
just a
that long?
grunt there,
Okay.
and I was a bag boy down the road at the grocery store. And I had already spoken to Bonnie through the convenience store, and then one day I ran into her at
Grocery
at the
store.
grocery store, and she came to me and she said, "Do you want to go out for a drink sometime?" And I said, "I don't drink." And she goes, "Why not?" And I said, "I have a drinking problem." And she
Gonna
said,
run far and wide.
"Okay, well, how about blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay." So I was thinking about that just yesterday. The that was
Jittery
there was
Joe's was
the Jittery
downtown
Joe's the
next
main one. It was
to 40 Watt, right?
right, but it was huge. So
Yeah,
all these
it was
tables
enormous.
spread out from each other in the semi-darkness. And I remember sitting there talking to her and telling her all these plans and ideas and optimism I had for the future. And
Well, part of it, I think, may have been they had a rack of zines in there. And some of them were hand done, some of them were pretty well printed, and such. And I think that maybe we had started talking about that. And
well, we took a ride afterwards. We were driving around Athens at night, and I was telling Bonnie all this stuff, and she said, "I think I can help you." And I thought, "All right, that's good. I better scoop this one up."
I remember different points when we were living next door in that tiny little hole. I got all my dad's hand me down computer equipment. Every time he upgraded, I got the hand me downs. And so I would scan in your images, or I had a negative scanner at that point too. And I would make pamphlets and business cards, and I printed up some of your little zines for you. And when the kids came along, I also did the same thing for them. Like Peter was fixated on Brachycephalosaurus when he was like 2, and Tyrannosaurus Rex, and all these other dinosaurs. And so he would draw these cute little pictures of dinosaurs. And so I made a dinosaur book for him. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And so one year we gave everybody copies of his dinosaur book.
When I
And
was
when
working,
Reed turned 7, I said, "We need to draw a picture for your birthday. This is your big naming ceremony birthday." He goes, "What do I do?" I said, "You draw yourself, surrounded by your family, and lots of presents, balloons hanging from the ceiling, and streamers and stuff. And I said, you draw all that, and you're smiling and happy, and you're with your people, and you're wearing a party hat. And I said, we can color. She goes, I don't color very well. I said, I tell you what, you draw the picture, I'll color it. And so I took colored pencils and colored in everything, and we scanned that, and we sent a birthday invitation that Reed had drawn for her 7th birthday.
Well, when I worked at the university, you you printed up my very first publication. It was a short book of poems called "My Wife Has No Balls."
Yes, I remember that. I thought it was the funniest thing, and I fully embraced this whole thing.
This old man I worked with up there, he thought that was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Well,
Our kids' birthdays are coming up. Reed's going to be 30. Peter's going to be 27.
28.
28. Oh my God. 28. Oh God. My mind is going. And Reed, I went to her and I said, I know you are involved with Andrew. I know that's where your priorities lie. I got in touch with him. He goes, no, you and Reed worked this out. So I said, Reed, you're off on Thursday and Friday. Andrew's not. So we're going to let you have the weekend with Andrew. Her birthday's on a Saturday. I said, but we would like to do something for you. And she thought about it, and she's decided that we're all going to go to Taqueria La Paria, the 3 of us. Peter's working. And she wants to get sopapillas for dessert. And I can't really eat anything there except for the guacamole. So I'm going to have guacamole and chips and salsa. And we're just going to enjoy ourselves. And she is giddy at the thought of celebrating her birthday at Taqueria La Paria, because there were so many times that we took the kids there, and it was so many good memories for her. So that's what we're going to do for her birthday.
we discovered that place because long time ago, I don't know if it was during the bike races. Every year there's a couple of bike races downtown.
It was because your
Not
father.
not the same as it used to be, but anyway, it was something going on downtown. It was just crazy, and downtown was packed. There used to be this Indian place downtown. I think it had a buffet, and we were going to go there. And I was telling my dad, it was me and my dad, and we had to park maybe. I don't know.
At the Potter's house.
We had to park. I don't know if it's like a mile, maybe. We had to walk forever because downtown was so jammed. And we had to walk and walk and walk. And we got to the Indian place, and it was closed because they didn't want to deal with the festival or whatever, the bike race or whatever it was. So my dad said, well, okay, I got a place we can go. I know of a place we can go. So we went to Taqueria La Paria, and he got a Cuban sandwich, of all things, at this place. And I thought I thought the place was wonderful. So when I got home, I told Bonnie, my dad showed me this Mexican restaurant that is just fantastic. And that was our place for a long time.
Yeah, it was. And then we discovered Agua Linda. First, we discovered La Fiesta because of my parents. And there was a La Fiesta over off Hawthorne. And we met for Stephanie's birthday at La Fiesta. And we all really enjoyed it. So we really enjoyed that for a while. And then we discovered Agua Linda and fell in love with that place. Agua Linda has how many different? 3 different sauces and this amazing chunky guacamole. Both places have, excellent burritos and quesadillas, and Agua Linda had chimichangas. Remember we had chimichangas for the first time there? And then when La Fiesta closed, you couldn't get the grilled salad anymore.
Oh, that was the place up around
Next
the hill,
hills.
right?
Yeah.
That wasn't La Fiesta, was it? Was that the name of it?
It was La Fiesta.
Yeah, they had a good taco salad, and then just
Heavily grilled vegetables.
Went out of business.
Yeah. And then you discover they have a taco salad a vegetable salad, grilled salad over at the La Paria. You remember that?
I thought it didn't come with vegetables, though.
I thought it did.
I thought that was the
We're going to
difference.
have to find out next week when we take Reed for her birthday.
Well, we'll see.
Don't know quite yet what we're doing for Peter. I've ordered him 2 fantasy books. One's D&D, one's fantasy art. And we've ordered him a fairly good monocular. He's like me. He can't use binoculars properly. And something about we just can't seem to focus our eyes properly. And so I ordered him a fairly decent rated set of monocular set. And we're going to figure out what he wants to do for lunch. I don't know
How does
yet.
that differ from a telescope?
It's handheld like this, in the same way you would hold binoculars one-handed. You hold a monocular one-handed, and it's a single adjustment, single eye piece, and has different adjustments for distance and magnification, strength, and such.
Oh, Lord. I just feel like I want to keep sleeping and sleeping forever.
Peter and Megan are planning to go to Pendergrass for his birthday, but they're not open except on the weekends, so they're going to plan a trip up there. And that'll be a lot of fun. Because spring's coming, that means all the chickens and baby chicks and ducks and stuff. It's beginning to be that season.
Have you talked to Peter about getting into management or transferring to a different department, moving up?
Yes. Negative results.
Because,
He just wants to exist. He wants to go, serve his time, get paid, and go home and be his creative self. I mean, would you want to get into management? Would you want to change departments? You don't want to expend any extra energy at that job than you have to. You go, you pick up a check, and you come home, and you take your time to be who you are at home. Jobs don't define you guys. Reed's a little different. She is focused on earning more, some more success, a better position. She has changed a lot. She has cross-trained, and she's worked with her managers about improving the end result of her department. And she's gone to them with several ideas, and she's become one of the drivers for the department, and she works outpatient surgical services. So she leaves the hospital and goes and deals with an entire set of people over at the outpatient surgical suites. And so she deals with the different nurses in the different departments there, the different surgeons, nurses. And so she's having to coordinate all this different stuff. And she said it's been really nice getting to know different people, because the outpatient surgical suites are different. They're a lot more homey, a lot more family almost, because they'll just kind of set up a couple of doctors, or a doctor's group will set up in one group, and they'll install their nurses there, and then she gets to know them. Like, she gets invited in for their special breakfast or their special lunches as part of their teams, and they just, feed her. And then whenever there's some kind of awards or rewards or something, like, she went in one day and there was a little mini packet of self-care stuff for her with her name on it. And she said a lot of these people are extremely generous with their money. And they know the hospital workers don't get paid as much as they do. The surgical suite nurses at these private doctors, we're looking at 6 figures easily for these women. And some of them have just adopted Reed, and they're just like giddy to see her. And one of them is actually called Stephanie.
Do you think Reed would want to get into nursing?
No, I don't. So the one that's kind of especially taking her under wing is named Stephanie. It's kind of heartbreaking for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's what I wanted for me to have from my sister, but
A long time ago, before all this COVID and Trump shit, um,
fuck them.
we were going to have a get together. My sister was going to come over or something, and I mentioned it to Reed, and Reed said, "Oh, that's good. I like Aunt Catherine." And then
Catherine went crazy.
all this shit happened, and it's just
Yeah.
riven families and people.
And people like my sister die because of it. So tomorrow we're gonna go visit my stepmom, Stephanie. Yeah, Steve, Stephanie, and Stephanie. My stepmom, Stephanie, and we're going to be celebrating her 70th birthday. That's a big deal. And we picked up some flowers for her and a little mini cake and cards. So it'll be a short little visit. Dad knows you've been under the weather. So, all you have to do is kind of close your eyes gently, and Dad will go, "Well, Lance is getting tired. It's time to go." Anyway.
Well,
It's gotten to that point with Stephanie where she just doesn't want to go anywhere. She doesn't want to do anything. Whereas my dad is just out and about all the time. And he's 12 years older than her. And Stephanie, I asked Dad, I said, what do you have planned? What do you want to do? Do you want to come over? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, honestly, Stephanie just wants you guys to come and visit, especially Lance. You know how much she likes Lance.
okay. Well, I don't know why, but all right.
She likes you as a person. That's always good when family brings in the in-law and
I thought you were about to say the intruder,
intruder.
the outsider.
The outsider becomes an insider.
You are now one of us.
One of us.
I saw a picture of one of the pinheads from that movie.
The One of Us Freaks movie. What was
That-
it? Was it Freaks? Was that what they called
Is
them?
that Todd Browning's Freaks?
I think maybe.
But anyway, the famous one that
Yeah.
wore a dress because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
couldn't control his bowels or something.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know where I saw that. Just recently, just like a couple of days ago.
So one of the conditions at least one of the people in the movie had was where they have that kind of melting face syndrome, where it just kind of looks like almost like teardrop eyes and such. And when I was with the library down here, there was a whole family of people here in this area that had that genetic mutation. The guy used to work up at Walmart, and he had those droopy eyes and the face that kind of melted, and his whole head was misshapen. It was bizarre. Yeah, the librarian up there told me that apparently there were a couple of generations that had interbred,
Oh, God.
and so there was like this high incidence rate of this flaw in this family. Yeah. Do you remember the Davenports?
No.
We went down to meet Reed's teachers at the elementary school, and the Davenport family was there, and you'd gone to school with Angela,
Mm-hmm.
and Angela had become a teacher or a principal or something. Well, Angela's younger sister was born late to her mother, and she was in her 40s, and she ended up having a child with Down syndrome. It was like when you're 35, it's like 1 in 700, 1 or 900 chance. It keeps increasing. So she had a child with that, And I was talking to Mrs. Davenport because she was on the board, or her husband was on the board, and she said that their daughter was now an adult and lived with them. She said that they had put her on birth control from the time that she began ovulating, basically, because they never wanted her to have children. They never wanted her to be taken advantage of. They had to care for her. She could not care for herself at all. So she was not a she was not high functioning. Whereas her sister had like a PhD and was a school principal and stuff.
That's a long time ago that I went to school with her.
Yeah, elementary.
Too many people on the planet. God almighty. Oh, God, I can't seem to get motivated. I'm used to drinking 6 cups of tea with 2 tea bags each in the cups.
Insane.
And then sometimes a little extra, in case I feel like that's not going to be enough. So I dragged it back to 2 cups. And actually, a couple days in there, I went without tea altogether, or went just with two cups all night. So I don't know what's going on. In the past, I've gotten off caffeine in the past, and been off of it for years. And in the past, the problem always was when you can taper down, but eventually you have to go off completely. And when you go off completely, you get headaches, and you get pain in your knees and in your neck, your shoulders, your elbows. And this time, I just feel dead. I just feel like there's nothing. I don't know. I don't know.
I wonder if there's any way for them to test us for long COVID, because I have been hit hard lately with fatigue.
If we had COVID, though,
we had COVID back in December. We got it when Peter brought it home from the hospital.
It wasn't a very severe case, though.
Peter's kicked his ass because he's immune compromised. Mine was a couple of days bad. You had a good 24 hours of it.
Right.
Where it kicked your butt. But it wasn't as bad as mine, and certainly we weren't as bad off as
Well,
Peter.
do you think that the home test would tell if we still have it active in us?
See, that's the thing. It's an ELISA test, and it's going to show for a certain period of time, certain number of weeks after, that it's still, we test positive because there are the bits that show up in that type of a test. Now, I don't know how we test for long COVID. We need to throw that into the mix of things that we consider when we go in and talk to your neurologist on Monday.
Well, this is all related to my my proclivity for seizures, because well, not every aura, but sometimes auras have the ability to make
an associated smell.
It's like sensory input is warped, sort of.
Yeah.
Especially smells are not sharper, but they're more. It's just your interpretation of smells is different. Emotional associations with them.
One of the most commonly reported associated smells is something acrid or burning for people and you've never experienced that. But you have been reporting more intense smells. After COVID, my flavors, my sensory input for taste were dulled, muted, things were off. Things that I knew were supposed to taste like X just weren't right. And I'm finally beginning to get back full salt sensation, for example. And there are other things and things that I knew tasted the exact way are finally beginning to return to normal. I never fully lost my sense of smell, but I had it dimmed. Megan Peter's fiance has lost a lot of her smell because of COVID. And I mean, it's gone on for more than a year or two now.
Well, when we went to Earth Fair today, this is a, what would you say, full service health food grocery store.
Yeah.
So they don't just have produce and pre-made dishes. They got weird soap and weird candles and goat's milk
Massage
soap
oil.
and and all this stuff has scents, fragrances. So we're walking through there,
It hit me hard today.
and I'm like, that's unusual. That's, there's a hint of something odd in this odor here.
Well, you did not like the eucalyptus soap I put under
No,
your
it,
nose.
it smelled like something. It's too stringent,
But you like the lavender soap we found.
Yeah.
Even the baby gentle unscented, you liked that. And that had the dullest, slightest of smells, I had really hoped for more visual input and experience in there. I don't think I got to stay as long. And now that I can't do dairy, I can't go and sample, oh, let's try this new cheese or try this, that, and the other. And when I picked up something that was vegan, it was like $8, $12, $15. And I'm like, I'm not spending that money. Just not going to do it.
When Reed lived near that neighborhood, did she walk down there and buy a roll or something, coffee in the morning?
She would go to Jittery Joe's at the 5 Points area. It seemed to me there was some other place that she would go. Mean Bean had closed at that point. I don't know if the Royal Pheasant had opened. There were just other little places that you could go.
There's that little bakery in there.
Where?
The bakery that you thought wasn't that great.
Oh, that
You had heard about it for so long and went in there.
Yeah, we went in there and it was the driest croissants I've ever had in my life. They were terrible. Oh, these are true French. I'm sorry, no. French people would not eat something that dry. It was like there was no butter in it at all. It was terrible.
Oh, I wish that little place where she was living had been better. It would have been cool if she could have stayed there. Yeah. They had made an apartment out of basically a garage and shoved 2 apartments in there. And it was like an old carriage house that they had stuffed 2.
There was a shower you could barely turn around in, and there was a toilet that when you wanted to finish up, you had to stand up to clean up. Because the toilet was between 2 cinder block walls, and one of the walls was a shower. So when she showered, it also sprayed all over the toilet. The kitchen was tiny. It was just what she needed. There was a little gas stove and a tiny apartment fridge and a tiny little microwave. And it was just her, and we had 4 plates, 4 forks and spoons, 4 knives, a million mugs, because she likes a million mugs. We had a coffee pot in there for her, a tea kettle, and then there was a great room. It was her everything. And she would sit on on her bed and watch TV, which was on top of her dresser. And then she had like a chair that she put in there. Then eventually we got a sofa to go in there. And so we squeezed everything in there, and she loved the place. And then 5 months later, the lease was up and they wouldn't extend the lease because they had not told her it was some kind of sublet or something. It was the agency. So suddenly we were scrambling, and she ended up in this place on top of Cars Hill, and she hated that place. There were bugs. They paid for pest control. Then she ended up paying for pest control because all the neighbors had animals, and all the animals brought in all the bugs. And she loved having the cats next door and stuff, and the dogs were cute and stuff, but they just brought in everything. Fleas and roaches and flies, and her apartment, she kept it meticulously clean. But the people next door would just toss their trash out onto the porch, onto the common walkway, and then take it out the next day when they left. So the animals would come around, and she as soon as she could, she got out of there, which meant she moved in with Quentin for 14 months.
Was she up there for that long?
14 months. It was a 14-month lease. They signed a 14-month lease so they could get a better deal. And then they raised it where she was going to have to pay an extra $500 a month. And she said, I can't afford an extra $500 a month. I'm barely getting by as is. And Quentin was working 2 gig jobs plus acting jobs. And so she found herself having to carry the burden for groceries, cooking. He never cleaned. He never even properly unpacked. And then he went and changed the whole terms of the relationship, saying he wanted kids and all this. And she's like, I told you from the beginning, no kids. And you haven't grown up, and you haven't been being an adult for a long time. She carried him financially. And so she had a transfer, came back to Athens, moved in with us for 4 months. And I said, you pay nothing until you find a place. The goal here is for you to find an apartment. You're going to live here. We're going to store your stuff here. And we had double coffee tables in the living room. We had a TV sitting on top of the coffee table, which was never used. We had just her room piled to the rafters in there. Peter's den set aside. It was chaos for 4 months. But she saved over $4,000 during that time. And she waited and waited and waited. And then she finally stumbled across the apartment she has now. And
well, when we
she
brought
ended up getting a place for $860 at a time when apartments were well over $1,000. And so we really lucked out. And it was the first place she applied to. And I said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to send in copies of your bank statements. And you're going to send in your bank statements for the last year. I said, I want you to show them that you have a nest egg. And she did. She had plenty of money. She had been saving up for a house at this point, which was another disappointment for her because the housing market changed. At one point, we were looking at houses, and the nearest affordable one was down in Greensboro, which would mean driving an hour to get to where she was working at that time, and it would have been an hour 20 to get to the hospital. And she could have just afforded a down payment, but when we looked around the neighborhood was just literally the wrong side of the tracks. There was graffiti on the bridge next to the house that she wanted to move into. And while it was an adorable place, it didn't work out. So she found the place she has now. She moved in. It was well under $900. And it took half her salary up front. And that's when she said, I don't know how much more. I said, I'm going to help you get set up. We bought her groceries. I set her up with a full pantry of staples because at that point she had just incorporated everything left over into ours. I said, we're going to get you set up. I said, you are going to meet with me once a month. I'm going to share our potatoes, our carrots, our basics. I'm going to make sure that you have all the food that you need and you get adjusted to your new budget. And let's work through this. And she said, I'm going to start looking for a job. I said, you do what you need to. And she landed that job at the hospital and it changed everything. She immediately got $5 more an hour. She went on with full benefits. Within a month, she had health insurance. She transferred everything from her retirement over from the old place to the new place, and she just stepped up. And her income basically ended up being basically almost as much as you were making when right around the time we moved into this house.
You know, she's turning 30 in just a few days. And when we brought her home from the hospital for that first day, you don't think about the fact that before you know it, she's going to be 30 years old.
Jesus. That bringing her home the first day, I mean, she bent her head back and we couldn't get her to stop looking in one direction. And we're like, did we break her? My first response was, I want her back inside of me. Everything was on autopilot there. But I had this book called The Baby Book. I kept referencing it. I was set up with a new doctor for her. We went in the first week. He went over all this stuff. Went back the second week. She lost a couple of ounces. He goes, show me you can breastfeed. He sat there and gave me tips. I said, how do I keep her awake? She keeps falling asleep. And he got me in week after week to make certain she was thriving. And she thrived. She came out at 8.5 pounds. Soon she was over 9 pounds and then over 9.5. And she kept hitting all these benchmarks. After the first month, she was in the 100th percentile and over the 100th percentile. Weight and height and progress. And I was like, okay, it's working. We're getting this done. All right, okay. And then I went down and we applied for assistance because you were, working that job where you were making $11,500 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my dad. I said, I feel like shit doing this. He goes, don't. We pay more than enough taxes
She
to
had
pay for this.
that. You brought her by to see me at the mailroom at UGA, and she came running over to me, and she had those little patent leather shoes on and that black
Oh, this is when she was
fuzzy
like 2.
dress thing.
She had black patent leather shoes. She had a black velvet dress with flowers on it, a red wool full-length double-breasted coat with black faux fur around it, and this head full of curls. She's all of like 1.5, 2 years old. She was adorable. God. I must have been pregnant at that point.
Yeah, if she was 1.5,
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
You brought her over there to see me, and she saw me. She came running over to me.
Papa. Oh, she was so cute. Oh, she had those little bitty white socks that you would roll down and had little lace trim. She'd wear those with the black patent leather shoes that she just loved clopping around in. And I would tease out her little curls. Her hair was still really thin, but she had a head full of curls, and I would tease them out. And she was just gorgeous. And then for one Christmas party, maybe your parents, I bought her a mini set of pearls to wear with that black velvet dress. Mm-hmm. That dress, I did not care what she did in that dress. It was her favorite dress. She was allowed to wear it anytime she wanted. She would wear it to the grocery store, that's fine. Wear it to the doctor, that's fine. She wanted to wear it outside, that was fine. She could eat in it, she could sleep in it. It didn't matter. It was her favorite dress for the longest time. Now, do you remember the red dress with flowers?
Yeah, yeah.
That was adorable too. She also loved that, and it was so easy to get on her because it was like t-shirt material.
Yeah.
It was one of those Oshkosh Bagosh things that we had found for like 50 cents at the thrift store. Yeah.
All right, we have been recording for an hour and 4 minutes. And we still have to go over some stuff for me, some work.
What you got?
We don't want to do it here. I mean, we'll do it now.
Oh, okay. You mean?
I mean my
Yeah. Okay. After we
artwork. I gotta go over it with you.
Yeah, you need some input.
Oh dear, I don't know what's wrong with me. I slept. I
Where
woke
did we
up.
get started?
Well, you're the one who married me.
I know. What the hell's wrong with me? You were a hot stud muffin, babe. Looked at you and said, "This guy, I want to have kids with." And you said the same thing about me.
And that was almost 30. That was, well, but yeah, that was 31
31
years.
years ago.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh my God.
All right, so I guess we're going to call it quits. I'm still.
Yeah, it was right about this time that you and I started seeing each other.
Well, we met in March.
Right at the beginning of March,
It
yeah.
was 95.
Yeah, I had just stopped seeing Jeff. That was it. And I mean, that was weird.
I'm telling you, this lump on my head that's missing has got something to do with this.
Okay, man.
For months, years. I've had this little weird lump on the top of my head, buried in the hair, and I was thinking, well, like scar material or something, but it's gone. And I'm telling you,
You sure Hazel didn't cut it out?
the government has snuck into my house and removed
All right,
the
Fox
implant.
Mulder. All right, Fox Mulder. Enough of that nonsense.
May not be the government.
Oh.
All right, so
Crazy ex-neighbor, huh?
yeah, we have some work to do, so we're gonna get out of here.
All right, well, good night.
All right, good night. Bye.